Hello, my name is Khalid Bueno, and I'm going to talk about the artist Rob Pruitt for my video presentation. I'll be using the consumer culture and capitalism lens to look through his work. Now, although I did not go to a gallery to look at his work, but after some extensive research online, I think his artwork is a good representation of the spirit of 2026. His work shows how branding and market values have caused people to change not only how they see themselves, but also how they express themselves and see politics as well. Rob Pruitt was born in 1964 in Washington, D.C. He grew up in Rockville, Maryland, and attended the Corcoran College of Art and Design, and then he later transferred to the Parsons School of Design. Since the 90s, he has been a prominent figure in the modern art world. He lives and works in New York City, and his works have been exhibited in big museums such as the Museum of Modern Art and the Whitney Museum of American Art. He has had multiple articles written about him from magazines such as the Art Forum, Frieze, and Art in America, and that's only to name a few, showing he is critically recognized artist. When researching his work, the very first thing that caught my attention was the boldness and the brightness of it. He doesn't hesitate to use bright colors, glitter, enamel, and he'll often use repetitions of the same picture as well. One of his most famous works is the panda. The pandas are very simple and cute works, almost as if they could be a logo of sorts. When you look at his work from the lens of consumer culture and capitalism, the repetition of it can be tied to brands today and how they see the same logos, how they use the same logos over and over to represent their brand with just slight variations so that their target audience can identify them without hesitation. And you can also see the same thing with things like social media. We see the same things, trends, creators, and images recycled many times until it becomes normal to us. When I first researched Pruitt's work and seen the repeated pictures of the pandas and his suicide paintings, the foil paintings, and even his pictures of Obama, it reminded me of trends I would see on socials and how they were more or less the same but just barely different. And at first, it was nice seeing something familiar in a sense, but then I reminded myself of the lens I was going to use and how capitalism has conditioned us into making everything a brand that's easily recognizable. I like Pruitt's creative process when it comes to the materials he uses for works. For example, he uses glitter as a main component in some of his works, such as, like I mentioned earlier, in the foil paintings. The foil paintings often have a white background with a bright color and then glitter in most of them. And I like that because I've never seen glitter utilized in that way before. Like I've never seen glitter utilized in any artwork, like professional artwork before. And I liked seeing that. It gave me like a breath of fresh air. And Pruitt, like his ability to change something that's not seen as a serious art material into his paintings is the and paintings that are shown in huge museums is amazing. Like he's literally turning something that's seen as cheap and invaluable to something that's valuable. Now, through my research, I found that Pruitt has had help in his studio at times. This also relates back to the spirit of 2026 because often you see today, you see a lot of group efforts. Not to say that there's no individual work, but I'm just saying you see a lot of group efforts, such as, for example, in social media and like content, you see a lot of content groups such as AMP, the Clover Boys, stuff like that. And a lot of fashion groups and etc. A lot of creative work is often group centered, making his art almost feel like a brand, which is, in a sense, it is because it literally is his work. Now, I think Rob Pruitt's is a work is a good example of the spirit of 2026 because it shows how deeply capitalism affects how we see ourselves and the world around us. Because like he shows how identity can turn into a product by using glitter, repetition, and images that look like logos, like I mentioned earlier. Even though I saw the work online, it still showed me that art is a part of the same branding and circulation systems as everything else. His work made me like easily it made me aware of how easily we're drawn to big events and how the attraction is linked to bigger economic systems. And I'm not even the most creative person. and just seeing his work online, I liked it. Like it, I genuinely, for the first time in my life, I can say I liked looking at art. And that's the end of my presentation. Have a good day.